There is a time where all known rules seem to be broken, a whole different ballgame which most people in this craft are struggling with. I actually enjoy it because the streets are empty, you can start to be creative and play around with the lighting that is available to you. I'm talking about taking pictures at night. Oh, can you hear that in the background? I hope that you guys can hear it because I haven't heard that sound for a while now. Listen, just listen. Oh, nothing better. Oh yeah, there's way better things than hearing a DSLR mirror flipping up to make some space for the sensor to get the lighting in to make that beautiful picture. And with this, I would like to welcome y'all to another video on my channel. I'm on the road with my beautiful girlfriend. Yes, she really does exist. And today we are testing the A7s3 in low light conditions, especially in night conditions. As you can see, it's dark and it's really dark. And I've got the ISO turned up to 12,800 because in the last video I've told you all this camera has a dual ISO sensor. That means it has two native ISOs, which are, oh, it's getting cold, which are ISO 640 and 12,800. And as you can see, no noise in the background. That's just hilarious how good this cam performs in low light conditions. Look at that beautiful street, look at this guy. There's just no noise. And today I just wanted to test it even for taking photos. And what else could be more beautiful than pasting as a background and my girlfriend as a photo model. So first of all, why did I mention the ISO or the dual ISO sensor? The problem is in filmmaking, you're limited to your shutter speed. That means, yeah, to have a natural motion, you should always keep your shutter speed double the frame rate. That means, well, when I'm recording in 50 frames per second, I want my shutter speed to be 1/100. So I'm really limited. While taking photos, there are different ways how you can just get the right exposure for your image. Basically, you have control over the shutter speed, the ISO, and your aperture. So when you're opening the aperture, that means you're making your number small. More light can get through the lens to the sensor. I just don't want to get into details too much because, yeah, I think most of you guys would not really like that, to go to physics and all that stuff. So we just keep it really simple. So the ISO regulates how sensitive your sensor in the camera is towards light. So higher the number, the more sensitive the ISO is to light. That means you will get a brighter picture. Here comes the problem with the ISO. If you just bump it up at a certain point, you would get grain and noise in the image, and that can destroy everything. And this is why I made this video. I just wanted to see if the Alpha 7s3 is really that good with high ISOs. And this is all recorded in S-Log3, and I really have to say, damn, I'm blown away by its quality in low light. It's such a low light beast. I would have never thought that. And the last thing is shutter speed. This is something how you can control the outcome of your image because, well, it determines how fast the shutter closes. And that means the longer your shutter speed, the more light will come through your lens to your sensor to take the picture. And this is something that can really get interesting during night photography. Well, I kept my shutter speed really fast at, I think, 1/320 because I just wanted to see how good that ISO works and like everybody is telling on the internet and stuff like that. And yeah, that's why I didn't make any long time exposures. This is something that you should keep in mind. So when you're filming, the only thing that you can control your light is your aperture and your ISO. And I like to film with an aperture of 2.8 because it gives you this nice looking blurring background like you have here or in this video. I really love to do that. That's why, yeah, for me, the ISO is relevant. Alright, so there are a few things that you should keep in mind when you're taking photos at nighttime. It's so different to taking photos at daytime. And well, for this, I've got this beautiful camera with the dual ISO as already mentioned. And I've got my 2.8 24-70 G Master lens on, which is a perfect combination. As you guys can see, it's just hilarious. I think what else is beautiful in nighttime is everything is empty. It's so quiet. Dresden is a big city and it's so quiet. The picture I want to take now is back on the bridge. You can see there. She stands there all alone and nothing else is around her, surrounding her. I think that could be a beautiful cinematic shot, even as a photo. I think this can be just awesome. This is something that I will try out now. Alright, so here are a few little extra tricks you should know when you're shooting in low light conditions. You should always have a tripod. Why is a tripod important for night photography? It's because, well, sometimes you have to get really low with your shutter speed and you won't be able to hold your camera stable, and you will always have some blur in your pictures because you will be shaking and all that kind of stuff. That's why you should always use a tripod when you're shooting in low light conditions. I didn't do that because, as I already mentioned, I just bumped up the ISO to see if it really works, and it did work. I'm just blown away by this camera. It's always good to have some lights like you can see in the background to work with, especially when you don't have a camera where you can bump up the ISO to 12,800. Look for some lights, or you can even bring your own lights. It's always good to look for some lights like traffic lights or street lights and just play with that, because I think photography comes alive when you're playing with light and shadow. That makes things a little more dramatic, epic and beautiful. This is just something that you should always try. Look for some street lights and just be creative. And I think the best part about night photography is that the streets are empty and most of the people are asleep except you, because you just decided to go out and take some beautiful photos, which is the better option in my opinion. So you did everything right. You can be creative with perspectives like laying on the ground and all that stuff, because yeah, people won't think that you are a fool and what is this crazy guy doing laying on the floor and all that kind of stuff. So I think nighttime photography just makes a huge difference to your outcomes, because well, we'll be able to lay down on the street, look for unique perspectives that you won't be able to look for in normal day conditions. The next thing for night photography or low light photography that you should try are reflections. Whether it's with a lake or using shopping windows, yeah. Those are things that you won't be able to use at daytime. You won't be able to see so perfect reflections in puddles or in windows like you have at nighttime. This is just the perfect example why you should go out and shoot in nighttime. Unfortunately, Dresden is not that beautiful lit when it comes to nighttime, and we don't have that of a beautiful big city where you could get really crazy with street photography and combining it with night photography. Those are just some things that make night photography a bit different to normal day photography. And I mean, look at those images, and especially look at those videos. They are just crispy, and I really like the outcome of this camera. I really like the outcome of those images and videos shooted at 1/100 shutter speed combined with an ISO of 12,000. It's just unbelievable to tell you that I just bumped up the ISO to 12,800. This is something that blew my mind, because I would have never thought that this camera would be capable of doing that. And I think there is more to come. And I think that you can bump up the ISO way higher than I did and still get a good looking picture. If you're interested in that, we can maybe do another video with, yeah, how much is too much for something like this. I don't know, just leave me a comment down below. Coming back to the shutter speed, this is something that you can use in nighttime photography better than in daytime photography, because all those cars have those lights on. And this is something how you can make light painting or your, you know, those light trail photos. I just look for one like this one. Those are made with a long shutter speed. I'm talking about maybe something like 2 seconds or something like that. So just keep in mind that when you're taking photos at a high shutter speed, like 1/320, like I did in this video, it freezes the moment. The shutter will be so quick that, well, if you slap a car, boom, it's just froze. When you turn down your shutter speed to like 2 seconds or something like that, the shutter opens, 1, 2, car passes by, and after the car passes by, the shutter closes. So you will have those light trails, and this is something that people use to do light painting. I hope that this video was a bit helpful when you're planning to go out next time to shoot. And if you have a A7s3, test it yourself. Those 12 megapixels combined with this high ISO capability is something different. Just test it out yourself. I didn't believe it when I first heard it, so I just tried it. So I hope that you will have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video.